everyone. It's me, Mandy-Lynn. Thanks so much for joining us today on Port City Personalities. I'm very excited about today's episode, and I think that you're going to be excited too. You're going to be joining us as Port City Personalities went on the road to Los Angeles to the Late Late Show. I want to give a thanks to the folks at the Late Late Show for being so accommodating to us. We had a wonderful time. You're going to see footage with James Corden, with Nick Bernstein. You're going to see behind the scenes of the Late Late Show. Also lined up for you, we have Julie Tower talking about upcoming shows at Punchlines. We have Chris Hovey, who's going to be talking about some of his upcoming shows and what he's been up to lately. And then also Brian Whittaker, and he's going to be talking about how he got started in comedy. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. Let's get started.
Great. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, I'm Mandy-Lynn from Port City Personalities, and we really need the advertisement endorsements. We'll do anything. We came to Los Angeles to James Corden to hijack his show to get this free endorsement because Nick left.
There you go. We need yes.
Thank you.
Here we are at Mandy-Lynn's ceremony for Port City Personalities, Walk of Fame.
Hi, Nick. How are you today?
I'm great. It's so nice to actually see you in person.
I know. Thanks so much for having us here.
Happy to be here. Happy for you to be here.
It was a great ride over. We took a few planes, but we're able to get here in time, thankfully, and we're super thankful that we're able to meet in location, and then we're going to be taking in a show as well.
I know. I'm so glad you get to come out before we wrap, which is just weeks away.
I know. And so what's today's show going to be about?
So today we are going to be running Take a Break, which is a bit we do where James gives someone a much needed break and takes over their job for the day. Today it happens to be he's taking over for Kris Jenner as the momager for the Kardashian family. So
that's pretty fun. If you lived closer, we could have switched places. You could have been on Port City Personalities host, and I could have done this gig.
You know what? It's the only station that I watch when I go to Port St. John.
Thank you so much. So Nick, we've done a few interviews together for radio when I started, when I was at radio for a bit, and then for TV as well now, and this is I think our third interview. And what can you tell folks? So you have a lot of Canadian fans right now that are going to be watching this.
Very nice.
What can you tell folks about Canada so far, what you've learned about Canadians?
I know that Montreal's traffic is very bad in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's probably as loyal a fan base of Corden supporters as anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to make friends. Look at us.
Absolutely. So I've been a fan I think since the beginning, and as well as your Conan days, and this is I guess one of your props that I stole.
That was I'm sure you saw it because you know quite a lot of the show, but when they remade this whole office, they gave me a makeover. It was not something that I asked for.
They had t-shirts made.
It was made.
Incredible.
I did get a t-shirt.
Yeah, you did. They gave
nice,
you one.
Finally.
Okay.
But this is one of the mugs that they gave because they assume that I'm obsessed with Corden.
And so let's talk a little bit about your office makeover. So did you have, some of your fans in Canada were wondering, did you have any idea that was going to happen? Or did you walk in one day and you had a barn, folks can't see, but a barn door, or was that always your door? I guess I should ask that.
No, the barn door, which you can always see later.
Yeah, sure.
The barn door came with the makeover.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was happening at all. Even the people who work closest with me, who are sitting in this room right now, didn't tell me that it was happening. And
we won't say names though, right?
We'll protect.
We'll protect.
No, we were just in a normal production meeting, which happens every day at 10 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's on Zoom for that meeting, and the producers talk about what's happening for the day, what they're taping that might be in a different episode later on, and anything that might be happening tomorrow. And while that's all happening, James, I hear outside my door, and I don't know why, and then he comes in and tells me that I'm getting a makeover, that my office is getting a makeover, and then I have to leave, and I hang out in the kitchen for like an hour, which was not fun.
And so what was your thoughts of that? So you had everything different. So it's been removed and moved back
Most
and
things have
forth. Your
been
washroom's
put
gone
back.
now. Is your painting still up
No. That's over in the graphics department now. They kept that. I have a handful of small things besides the door that I kept. I do have. I don't have the washroom anymore, but I did keep the executive washroom sign.
Oh, that is.
Which I thought was a pretty amusing one to keep. And then, yeah, everything else was pretty much put back to normal. The only thing, here's a little inside scoop. They were supposed to recreate this cornflakes box, which was signed by Jimmy Butler, who was a member of that's him right there. He's a basketball player and member of that gold-winning team. And he signed it when he was here, which was very nice. They were supposed to make a replica of it so that James could tear it apart, but they forgot to replace it. So that's the original one that just got
crumpled up and messed up on
But
you.
I thought, it's still just a cornflakes box at the end of the day. So it was nice, and I think it's actually funnier now that I have it here, and it's just a memory from that crazy day.
Thank you. And I have some questions for you. So your brother was on a late show not that long ago, and he was pretty happy about everything that's happening with you. So talk about that. Did you know that your brother would get called out on, or?
The way things go these days, anytime somebody that I know is a guest that's sitting in the audience, I have a feeling that information gets back to James and the producers, and it's pretty likely that they'll end up doing something, but there was nothing planned.
And what did your brother think of that? What did he say after? Because he was pretty
thrilled.
happy.
Yeah, he was genuine. We have a really good relationship. We get along real well. But he is a prankster, and so just by nature, he's been, and he said it on the show, thrilled with what they've done to me on the show. I'm not a particularly big fan of pranks or anything like that, or surprises, but you just kind of got to roll with the punches here.
And what did he think about the lie detector that you have? What was his thoughts on that? And did any of your assistants or anybody on staff know about that?
That's a good question.
I don't think I did.
I definitely didn't know about it. We have comedy segment producers who help put the bits together with the writers, and they'll see it through and they'll talk to the booth and they'll get everything set. So there were certainly a large amount of people who did know that was happening, but I was not among them. My brother got a kick out of that. I think the thing that he probably liked the most, though, is there was I spent Thanksgiving with my folks back in upstate New York, which we probably talked about once.
I don't think we covered that part, but I remember that.
Oh, okay.
They called you out on the show in your rich house.
Yes. I was. I took a couple extra days off.
Yep.
Yeah, I took a couple
You left
extra
early,
days.
actually,
I left
before
early
everybody, and they made
Thanksgiving.
sure everybody knew about
That's
that.
right.
That's right. I remember.
Which I'm sure you all know,
Yes.
that our Thanksgiving is in November, and it's
of
the fourth Thursday every year. So we usually tape a couple shows early. When I made these reservations, I wasn't expecting that I was going to be
on TV
on the show at all, let alone all the time at that point. So I was like, well, no one's gonna care if I just watch it on Zoom like I did beforehand.
Yeah.
Not realizing they were gonna reference that I wasn't there, and then they knew I was on Zoom, and then they called up my image so that everyone in the studio audience could see
First,
it.
they wanted to kick you out of the meeting, actually.
Oh yeah,
if
that's
I remember
right.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
They wanted to find the host to kick you out.
That's right.
And then they removed letters from your name on the teleprompter.
Yeah, they did a lot of those. They've done a lot of things.
Yes, they have.
But this house has stairs. It's a 100-year-old house. It was also not the house I grew up on.
Yes.
But I walked down the stairs and James goofed as if I was in some mansion, which again it was not. And it's a lovely house, but
but it wasn't your house.
No. And my father talked to James, and he didn't realize that was not a rehearsal, and he didn't know that was going to be on television until afterwards. Also, he watches the show regularly, so I'm shocked that he didn't realize. But it just didn't feel like it. It just felt like two people talking.
Yeah, just casual. Which
anyway.
that's the authenticity of the show and the monologue and everything, right?
That's part of what's made it so unique over these last couple of years. The thing that my brother was particularly happy about is his kids were in a bit that we did on the second day, where I pretended to be lounging on a couch eating lobster and
living a bougie life
yes.
while they're all back working.
Being fed by both my children and my nephew and my niece.
So that doesn't happen on a daily
That
basis
is not a
anymore.
thing that's
We
ever
stopped
happened.
that since.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was
never.
strictly for the camera.
That was for the camera. That was a good bit.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But he's enjoyed it. And I was really happy that he got to see the show before it ended, because that was the first time he'd ever gotten a chance to
I was
come.
going to ask you. So he's been, and your wife Andrea, has she been many times or?
She's come a few times. She sat in the audience maybe a little over a year ago.
Duran. Because James was mad that it wasn't to see him, it was to see Duran, right?
It was, yeah, that was the reason. Which once again was the same thing where I knew as soon. Well, when I walk into the studio, as you'll see in a few hours, I'll walk in and I can see where my guests are sat.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are sat near me, so that I know at some point if they needed to or wanted a shot where they could look just over my shoulder and my guests are there, then I'm like, well, they're probably going to say something. Which was exactly how I saw it. Andy, with her guest that she brought to the show, and you know, then they talked about my hair.
And so, yeah, they don't talk about your hair much, so we don't need to cover that. Not at all, right?
No,
and
never.
is it still? It's gotten longer since. So
You think it has? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
and so, are you going to keep it growing long, or once the show's done, your hair's done? Like, is the finale gonna be? You're gonna go back to pre-COVID Nick?
There's just been general conversation that some people here think it would be fun if they cut my hair before the end of the show.
And how do you feel? How does your wife feel?
I mean, I've enjoyed it. I guess I know I can grow it. So if they, I'm just gonna roll with whatever the show wants to do. I don't have any. I would like to keep it, but
If they don't,
I hope they don't. Again, I'm not gonna know. The whole place keeps secrets from me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised I still have a job sometimes with the amount that they keep from me and hide from me.
Or the promotions they mentioned. So a few things I want to ask you about, I think we just have about 6 more minutes left, is I wanted to ask you about the episode where your boss was in the audience. He was sat there. So people want to know did he know that was coming on or he'd be questioned. So that was, a lot of folks are saying, one of the best monologues that they saw, because they said it looked like you're really shocked and surprised.
Yeah.
And I think, based on what I know so far, you really were shocked and surprised.
Yeah, it was once again that situation where my bosses are usually pretty tickled by the amount of abuse that I get on the show.
Of course. I think everybody is.
I think they also have a healthy enjoyment of the process, and anybody who gets into television, I think, enjoys the idea that they might also appear on it every once in a while, and so, so all of those things kind of. I mean, I might be the exception on that. I really didn't ever want.
You didn't, or you didn't want your office maker. You didn't want.
None of those things I actually
and that's
wanted.
what makes it better.
But it's the same thing where they sat George, my boss George Cheeks, behind me, and nothing was planned. Although I think they must have. He knows how the show works, so he wasn't shocked that he was going to be mentioned, and the way they always bring it up, which I know is, it does make me laugh even thinking about it, is James always thinks or says that I'm acting different.
Yeah.
When someone who's very close to me or is a boss of mine is behind me.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure I act any different. But,
yeah, because you made it sound like you're in a green, like you're getting all the pamper, and then you come down with your rider list, which is like come out last, and then watching your shows in here that he thinks you're watching all the time.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I think everyone's sort of enjoyed being a part of it when they've had a chance. So, so that was a pretty fun moment too.
Absolutely, and so
also, sorry, weirdly,
no, please.
Because of COVID, that happened. I think that must have been more than a year ago.
I think it's been more than a year. Yeah.
That George was on, but that might have been the first time I saw him in person.
Since COVID, or in
well,
altogether?
He started his job. He started as the CEO, like right after COVID.
Okay.
So it was like that March. Maybe it was right before COVID, but it was that early March 2020, and then everything was through Zoom, and nobody was really allowed to the show very much, and we didn't really have guests, and I'm fairly certain that was the first time I'd ever actually met him in person. Was that day?
Oh wow, what a way to meet on camera, and then
we talked a lot.
Yeah,
but
you know in Zoom.
enough. But it was a very strange introductory.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about all the stuff you've been doing. So you're doing a lot of podcasts and shows still now. Like, what's that been like?
I think that it's really fun for people to talk about the Late Late Show.
Yeah.
And James, and especially with this show wrapping.
It's huge.
And so
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm among many conduits to be able to talk about it, and I have a slightly different vantage point. So anyone who wants to chat about the show or late night, I think that's always a really fun thing to do. So I found that part really fun. And I really do genuinely love podcasts, living
you love
in LA.
speaking and stuff too also, right? That's fun. Talking about your passion, the show, the project.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to talk about for sure.
Yeah.
And like living in LA and living fairly far away from where I work, like I'm in the car all the time, and so I really appreciate a deep dive into any categories of chat that I'm interested in just as a fan. And so other people who like listening about late night and television and broadcasting, like I think that people in my position can talk about it in a different way. So and especially I mean, I think it's really fun when people reach out from literally different parts of the world.
Everywhere.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And
you're accessible too. So
yeah.
that's the part I think that people love about you, is that you're not like, oh, this, that, like, you're very accessible, because you're like, I want to talk about this. Like, it's great, right?
Well, I mean, I'm just a guy,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so anyone who has sort of questions about how it works and what it's like, I think that's, and I do think it's incredible how many people watch this show.
The
in
reach
particular.
of the show, right?
Yeah, from so many different
You have
parts.
Malaysian stuff too, I think you mentioned, right?
Many times,
So
multiple times.
Has that been a surprise to you, like the reach? Like when you do, like, when we do TV, we put it out there, and we hope that people are watching. We want folks to watch, but then it's always surprising, like where people reach out to you from, where they'll say, "Watch this."
Yeah.
Are you still surprised by that?
I'm still really happy about it. I think maybe a little bit less surprised now because we really consciously put the show out there to as many places and made the show as accessible as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And James is, I think his comedy sort of permeates throughout. It's not American specific. It's not British in a specific way. It's a pretty universal style, and so it's cool to see how many people also react positively to that. And the fact that, I don't know, I think it's still pretty cool that, like, you could be anywhere, you could contact us here, and then we can figure out how to talk to each other. And
the reach of it, and we've gotten better at that since COVID.
Yeah.
Like, of how we can communicate in different ways, because that's the power of communication, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't know, that shouldn't weird us out now, but it's still really cool.
It's so cool. I know. I think it's our generation. I think it's super cool. And I just have 3 questions left, and then we'll wrap. But you have, I think, 11 shows left.
Yeah.
11 shows left. Talk me through that. What can we look forward to seeing or hearing about? Or
it's pretty intense. It's like it's hard to prepare for the end of a show, like any show, but we've all grown really close to each other, and
of course.
So this week in particular, it's not me specifically, but the production is doing multiple carpool karaoke's for the end. They're doing one more Crosswalk the Musical before the end of the show. They taped this massive bit with Tom Cruise. They've shown some photos of it online where James and Tom went to the Lion King at the Pantages here in LA, and they took over.
I saw some of the teaser too.
So that's a big bit that we're putting in a primetime special.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we have a handful of surprises left. We have some last guests. Like last night we had Bryan Cranston and Allison Janney on, and they've both been, Allison Janney's been on more than anyone.
She's been quite a bit.
I think it's 15 times or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Does she beat out Josh Gad?
As far as a guest, yes. As far as appearances, it's hard to know.
Yeah, Josh is
he's right up
everything.
there. Ben Schwartz is on this week, and he's been on a bunch of times also. So it's a lot of friends coming back one last time, and then even people like Ben Affleck's a guest this week, and I don't think he's been on the show before. I think this is the first time he's going
He
to be
hasn't
on.
been. No.
So, and even last night, Brett Goldstein was on for the first time, which
So
is
we're
kind
getting
of
a lot
cool
of
that we're
first
doing both of those things. We're having
Yeah.
old friends and people who get a chance to do it before the end. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then, it's just, I think this group of people will stay in touch and remain close to each other for the rest of our lives.
And what next for you? What's happening after, like, so you're going to be working on stuff? Anything you can divulge or talk about?
I'll still be at CBS.
Mhm.
I'm still working for the network in the studio.
You're not coming to Canada to work with us. I know I offered before and I didn't see your resume in my
I
inbox.
know. You know what?
Yeah, I'll keep checking.
You can just keep
I'll
checking
just
back.
keep checking.
I probably can't say anything yet, but
Of course.
but yeah, like
Some stuff's in store. We can't talk about it.
fairly
yet.
soon,
Yeah.
officially, CBS will be able to say what's happening.
So you'll still be employed.
I'll still be working. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know where, which lot. There's lots of lots at CBS.
There is
but,
lots of. You won't be hosting Prices Right? Could that be one of them?
I don't need to be on television anymore.
You don't know. You're okay with being behind.
I'm
the
fine
scenes.
being I like being behind the desk. Behind that desk, not a desk on TV.
That's fair. And then finally, so we came over from Canada, as you know. We're really excited. We appreciate the invite, and we'll be able to watch the show after we finish up.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to your Canadian fan base in TV and radio, anything? To your folks over there about, I think about reach. I know you touched on it a little bit, but and it can be to the Late Show or to you in general.
Well, I just think that people who have enjoyed the show are going to really love how we wrap the show, and I think that it's just been a pleasure to meet people and see their reactions, especially over the last 3 years.
And you gave us a plug on the show the last time that you did you did that, so we want to say thanks for that. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're a community TV show, so it helped boost our ratings.
You're welcome.
So thanks for
You're
that.
very welcome.
We appreciate that so much. Nick, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely,
today.
it's great to see you.
Thanks for having us. We so appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hi Ryan, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for joining me today. So nice to see you again.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's nice to see you again too.
So I think we saw each other last weekend. You were at Punchlines.
At Punchlines, not performing, just there to watch, but it was a great show. I got to hang out with Tim Nutt and Mike Wilmot after, so that was an incredible experience. But
Was that fun? So you knew who they were, the legends, of course.
yeah, those were back when I was a kid, probably about 10 years old. Those were some of the first comedians that I remember seeing on Just for Laughs. I told them that, and they kind of dated them, and they felt a little old, but.
For sure. All right, Ryan, for everybody that's watching right now, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm Ryan Whittaker. I am a truck mechanic technically, but that's boring, so I don't tell people that. I tell people I'm a comedian. I make no money at it, but I would like to one day.
That's fair. So let's start from the beginning. How long have you been in comedy and what got you started?
So I've only been performing stand-up now for about 10 months. I started writing probably about a year before that. But I've been obsessed with comedy since I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, whenever my dad would start letting me watch it on TV. And ever since then, I've always wanted to do it, and I've been obsessed with it. Was too scared to do it most of my life until last year. I just decided, if you're going to do it, you got to do it now, and finally started.
That's fair. So what was your aha moment? So when did you decide that you were ready?
Honestly, I think there was I remember vividly a day at work where, as much as I do enjoy my job in some aspects, there is a part of me where it's like, this isn't really what I want to do my entire life. And I was having a hard time figuring out what direction I want to take my life in. And the more I thought about it, there was no career that I knew was going to ever make me happy. And so I just decided, you just got to try to do it. You're probably not going to make it as a comedian. It's unlikely, but at least if you're trying, and I have a goal to do it, there's an alarm to tell me to wake up at 11 o'clock. And as long as I try to do it and have a goal, then at least I can live somewhat happily. So.
Absolutely. So you talked about watching comedy as a kid. Who did you watch and what ignited that kind of love?
So back then, all I had was like basic cable. So we basically just had the Just for Laughs festival. So it was Jeremy Hotz and Tim Nutt, Mike Wilmot, um, Nikki Payne back then, others like that.
Nice. And what was, so talk me through your first night that you did your set. How did you prepare? Because this is important, I think, for a lot of folks that are thinking, getting behind the mic or getting into entertaining, for them to know what that experience was like. So I know you and I talked about this and touched on this before, and that's why I kind of wanted to talk to you about that today. So talk me through where was your first set at, and what did you do on your first set?
So my first set was at McGill's over in St. John at a place called No Jokes Barred. For me, what I decided to do was I just wrote like 10 or 11 quick jokes. Like I didn't do any stories. It was very like set up, punchline, on to the next one. That way I knew if I did like 10 or 11 jokes, at least one of them would get a laugh, instead of trying to go up there with a story that might just get nothing. And I don't remember anything about the set. I don't remember what I said. I went completely tunnel vision. I couldn't see anything. My heart was pounding through my chest. I got off. People told me I did okay, and I've loved it ever since. But I think I bombed, honestly. No one would tell me if I did, but.
And so talk me through what was that like, the feeling of being up there? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Was there that adrenaline rush that folks talk about?
Yeah, I was excited leading up to the moment, and then when it was finally like half hour beforehand, it was terrifying, and I did not want to go up at all. It was
Really?
the most scary thing I've ever done in my life by far.
Then why did you do it? I have to ask. If you were afraid, why did you do it?
I just knew it's never going to be not scary. I just knew like I was never going to be ready for it. So you either just do it or you're never going to do it. So I just went up and.
Yep. And then you just went for it.
Yeah. But it's a weird feeling to try to make a room laugh when you have no idea what makes them laugh. And that pressure of them possibly not liking it and then you being totally embarrassed. It's a scary feeling.
Absolutely. And so from your first experience after that night, did you put any thought into, like, right away, instantaneously, were you thinking, I want to do another set?
Yeah.
That's it for me. So you felt it right away.
As soon as I got off stage, I was pretty much back on Facebook trying to look for the next gig I could do.
Even after you were all at your wits.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My heart was still pounding through my chest, but that was like, you know what, that was fun. And it wasn't, and after it was still scary. And the first few sets after that, I was still terrified. But once you do your first one, you realize it's not that bad. Even if you bomb, no one's going to remember. So.
Absolutely. And so how many sets do you think you've done to date now in these past 10 months? And what have you learned from them?
So in the past 10 months, I would say I've probably done roughly about one a week is what I usually get. So 40 or so, maybe.
That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
And what have you learned through this?
Well, what I've learned is 40 is not enough for me. So I would like to hopefully move to a place here soon that I can start pursuing comedy legitimately, a place where I can get more stage time. As much as St. John is a great place to start out, especially if there's anyone in the city that is thinking about doing comedy, you're realistically in probably the best city in at least Atlantic Canada, maybe outside of Halifax. St. John to me is probably the best place to start stand-up in, just because you have a James Mullinger being from here really kind of set it off. And then with Dale and Julie having punchlines, you get to see real talent all the time. And then just some of the open mic comics that we have here are so talented and great to learn from, like Michelle Petit and Arif Hussein, those guys that I love watching them and learning from them. But as far as getting stage time, for me, wanting to take it farther, I definitely need to move somewhere else where I can get up every day.
For sure. And so you talked at the beginning of our interview how your jokes they weren't storytelling. Has your comedy sets evolved or changed, or have you found are they storytelling now, or what?
Some of them are like, it's kind of all over the place still. especially when you're first learning, it's kind of hard to just pick one style of comedy and just be like, I'm just going to tell stories or I'm just going to do one-liners. I just kind of, if I think it's funny, I'm going to try to do it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And just kind of recently, I've started to try to try more new material. I know when I first started out, my first 10 or 20 sets, I was basically just doing the same 10 minutes over and over again. Once you find something that works, it's kind of hard to get off of that because you're scared of bombing. And once you find 10 minutes that doesn't, you just kind of keep doing it. But as of recently, I've been trying to mix it up a bit.
And do you find you'll kind of intertwine some stories in with some quick wit humor, or is it drawn from, and is your comedy style drawn from everyday life? Is it drawn from imaginative?
Also, I don't know if you can hear my dog whining right now, but I do apologize. He's very loud. What was your question again? He keeps distracting me.
Yeah,
I have ADD.
Absolutely. So is your comedy drawn from everyday life, or is it from imagination? Where's your material come from?
Again, like a mix of everything. Some jokes I tell are completely true stories. Some of it is just stuff I've thought of while sitting on the couch that are not true in any shape or form. So again, like I'm more of a person, if I find it funny, I'm going to say it on stage. I don't care what it's about, who it's about, where it came from. As long as it's funny, I'll say it right now.
Absolutely. So you talk about moving away to pursue comedy. I have to ask you, what would your dream lineup be on a show? Like, who would you love to perform with if you could have anybody?
Anybody from all time. Hey, I think my number one comic of all time is Anthony Jeselnik. So him, probably Bill Burr, Nate Bargatze, Dave Chappelle, Taylor Tomlinson right now is a new one that I really, really enjoy.
And
start.
Also, I noticed that you have quite an impressive TikTok following. How long have you been on that? I think you have over 12,000 followers on your Tik.
23. I don't know. I haven't used TikTok in a while. I had a few videos blow up 2 years ago, and I was kind of using TikTok a bit. Got about 24,000 followers, and then kind of just stopped using it for the most part, which I should have probably kept using. But back then, I wasn't really doing comedy seriously yet. And
yeah, it might be good to think on. So, if anybody wants to book you for anything, how can they book you and how can they get a hold of you?
Ryan Whittaker Comedy on Facebook would definitely be the best place. I wouldn't book me yet because I don't think I'm worth money. I'll be
what a great tagline.
Yeah.
Perfect. So folks can see you in upcoming shows around, and do you have any that you want to talk about where folks could see you?
I have a few coming up. I have one next Monday at Wasted Day Brewing.
Okay.
One on Saturday, May 20th at McGill's. May 25th, I'm in Grady's Pub in Salisbury. May 18th, I'm at the Canvas Hotel in Moncton. I think this Thursday, I'm at the Art Warehouse in St. John. I think there's a few more, but I'm forgetting them now. So
that's perfect. So
they'll all be on my Facebook page. So
wonderful. Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by today. It was a pleasure speaking with you as always, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Hey, Chris, how you doing, pal?
Hey, doing good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. It's been a minute. I think it's been a whole week, right?
It's been a whole week and a day, yeah.
So last time we saw each other, I think was at Punchlines, and you were performing and your family was there. Your family came, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they come up to a lot of shows. They're pretty supportive and excited about it.
So that's awesome. So what do you do for a living, Chris?
Just started teaching AutoCAD at the community college. I'm an instructor.
That's amazing. That's really fun, huh?
Yeah, it's been great so far. Yeah.
And so you just did a career change because you were in the restaurant business and you changed
True, yeah.
from doing that to doing this, which is very rewarding and very exciting. And you're pursuing your passion, obviously.
Yeah, that's right. That's the plan anyways. Yeah.
That's the plan. So, but what I really wanted to talk to you today about was was your comedy and how that started, because I think you're hilarious as a comedian. Big fan of yours, as you know. And what I saw at your shows the past couple of years, you've been just crushing it. So I had some questions to ask you about that based on, some of the things that I saw and how you've evolved. So let's start
Absolutely.
from the beginning of, when did you get into comedy? How long ago was this?
Sure. 2017 is when I started. I had wanted to do it. I've always loved stand up. I was curious about it. Never really thought that I was the type that I could do it. Went to a local show, like an open mic, with a girl I was dating, and so, you see people doing stand up professionally, and you think, oh, well, geez, everything has to be perfect. You have to be that good. And then I saw some people do it at a local level and went, oh, I can be at least that bad at it. I should try this out. And her take at the time was, well, I think you're funny, but I don't know if, people will think you're funny. So it took a couple years, and then UMB was doing like an extended learning program at the time, and they offered like a 6-week stand-up comedy workshop, and I signed up before I could stop myself.
And so talk me through that. What was that like? Were you nervous? Because why did you say you signed up before you could, like, before?
It's just one of those things, right? It's a leap. Public speaking is really scary for a lot of people, myself included, at least at first. And it's one of those things I always wondered if I could do it, and sort of finding out is tough, right? And you find out whether you can or you can't, and I think everyone's a little bit afraid that maybe they can't. And it ended up being great. It was 6 weeks, and we all just kind of went in and we wrote and we presented stuff that we'd written. It was like doing an open mic every week for 6 weeks with the same people, so it was kind of a safe space situation. And then we all kind of premiered our first night, our first proper open mic together at the R Bar at the time.
Right. And what was that feeling like the first time that you got up to perform in front of everybody? Were you nervous? Were you excited?
Extremely nervous. I felt like I had decent material because, like I said, we've been doing it for 6 weeks with each other. So I felt like I was prepared, but, taking it to the stage in front of people is always different. And of course, because we were all doing our first show together, everybody's friends, everybody's family, everybody's coworkers came out. The place was wall to wall, and everyone was, so excited to see people they knew do stand up. So it was kind of a stacked room. It was definitely everyone did really well, but part of that was, everyone that was there for them, right? So great first time, but not necessarily an honest first time.
Absolutely. And that's fair. So did you feel a lot of adrenaline? Did you feel like you were successful as soon as you set the mic down and walk? What was the feeling like after?
It was a great set, and the adrenaline was crazy. The going up, and like I said, everyone had a great set. So going up and having a great set and feeling, like, okay, I did this, it went well. And the adrenaline was crazy. And that's still, one of the best parts is getting off stage after a good set and feeling, accomplished, and sort of a little bit of that adrenaline kind of coming down. That's always, it's always a great part of doing it.
Did you feel like after you did that, did you feel like, heck yeah, I'm in my element? Or was there a pause before the next show? Or what was your feelings?
I wasn't sure. I felt like I would probably do it again. I was asked very quickly to do like another booked open mic at a Fredericton, sort of very quickly following that show. And I thought, well, okay, then I guess I'll do that one. And then that went pretty well. That was a more honest kind of first show, and it still went pretty well. And then, there was another open mic happening, and I thought, well, maybe I'll sign up for that. And next thing I know, it's 6 years later, and people keep asking me to do stuff, and I keep signing up for open mic. So I guess I continue to do it.
And what have you learned throughout the process of what you've done so far?
That's interesting. I've learned that it takes a lot of time. A lot of people start and they do well for the first few months or for 6 months, and they think, oh, this is great. I'm going, I'm going to do this full time, or I'm going to do big shows or whatever. And it takes a lot of time. It really does. And you have to keep writing and keep proving yourself and keep, adding to your set and getting, more and more time under your belt. And it takes a long time before things start to, even where I am at 6 years, it's nice that some things are coming my way that just for laughs showcases and stuff. That's great, but it still takes. It's going to be even more time before anything, you know, huge really comes through, right? So a lot of patience, a lot of background work with writing and stuff, and just being patient, taking your time, and trying not to get too jealous when someone else gets to do something cool.
And what is your end goal to this? Is comedy, aside from, you know, your day job, still something you want to pursue doing? Is it something that you'd like to collectively build on?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Running the business for almost a year really cut into my stand-up. Really cut into my stand-up. It was small business, so I was everything. I was manager, I was cooking, I was running to Costco and grocery stores and stuff after hours. So, and getting up early. So it really cut into my stand-up, and I realized that wasn't something I was willing to kind of give up.
Sure.
So new job. Eventually I'll have summers off, and so I think in the short term, anyways, in the medium term, I think what would be great is to work this job instructing, and then take the summer and essentially be available to do stand up in other cities, do stand up, you know, maybe small tours, stuff like that. That's at least in the short to medium term. But it's hard to say where I want to take it. I don't know if I've really envisioned a place where stand up is my career. I think there's challenges that come along with that. And so I think I'll just I'll keep doing what I'm doing until, you know, I have to make a choice.
No, that makes sense. I'm a big fan of that. And the expression, life is what happens while you're busy planning other things, right? So sometimes you're doing something and, you know, you think that this is what you want, and then you end up going to do that. So you start out with comedy as a hobby, and then maybe it's something you build upon, you know, full time, or at least you're enjoying it while you do it, right? It's something that that you enjoy doing. So my question to you now would be, who are some of your favorite comedians, and how do you draw inspiration from them?
Always careful not to draw too much inspiration, because you can end up sounding like somebody.
Plagiarism.
Yeah. Even if you're not stealing material directly, you can still end up sounding like somebody.
Fair.
I really like Mike Birbiglia. The way he tells the story is fantastic. It's usually funny, but it's also sweet, and there's he's very good at sort of tying a theme together throughout an hour, which I really like. And, you know, not every special or hour or album, whatever, has to be that way. But it's always interesting when you watch somebody for that amount of time, and by the end of it, you go, okay, that was all about one thing, one experience, one phase of life, whatever it is. You know, everything kind of ties together. Taylor Tomlinson is fantastic. So funny, still on her way up. She's great. A couple really good Netflix specials. Started doing stand-up really early, so she's seeing success at a young age, and so she's got a different perspective. A lot of comics succeed in their late 30s, but she's succeeding, getting a lot of exposure in her late 20s. So she's doing a lot of comedy from a different perspective, which I think is really cool. She's great. I really like Theo Vaughn, the way he kind of turns a phrase. I think he's really funny. And Ron White has been someone I've always loved. Same thing. I love his timing, love the way he turns a phrase or pronounces a word differently. My dad and I actually got to see him a couple of years ago at the casino, which was pretty awesome. So.
Wow. And so if anybody wants to book you or get in touch with you, Chris, about upcoming events or shows or emceeing or comedy, how could they get a hold of you to have a further discussion?
So available on Facebook. Also chrishoveycomedy@gmail.com. Always available through email. I have an Instagram, Chris_Hovey. Don't follow Chris Hovey Comedy. I don't update it. I'm gonna delete it one of these days when I get around to it with my ADHD brain. But yeah, available anywhere online, and absolutely reach out. I love doing stuff. I've got something I'm kind of in talks about right now that might be a fun show coming up. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I mean, book me. I'll do a good job, I promise.
Chris, thanks so much for being an awesome friend. It's always a pleasure having a conversation with you, and I hope all is well.
Thank you. It is. My parents loved you, by the way. My mother afterwards was like, "Who was the woman on the door? She was hilarious. She was so funny. Did she ever do comedy?" So she loved you. She was very.
I'll consider it. tell her I'll consider coming.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you
yeah.
so much, Chris. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you.
Problem. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
I sure do appreciate it. So we have a lot of stuff to cover in this episode. I'm
definitely.
really, really excited, but and we're going to get into some of your upcoming shows. However, let's talk a little bit about our trip to LA. How was it, if you could sum it up in a few words?
Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. One of the things that stick in my mind was we did a bus video when we got there. It was kind of creepy. And then Nick didn't really want to be in the video. And then on our way home, we did the same video, and she was so excited to be home to see her animals that she ran with the video. It was really a lot of fun. And I think the James Corden thing, I think that was really, I think that was a highlight, because you, my friend, it was just amazing that she shot her hand up like crazy when he was like, anybody want to ask a question? And he was that blonde lady right over there, and she got right up on stage and was able to get a photo with them and a video. We had so much fun.
We hijacked the James Corden show, which was great. When Nick left for a minute, we had a chance to, after interviewing Nick a few times, to be able to meet him in person and to meet all the lovely staff at the Late Late Show, who were very accommodating to us and just, wonderful. It was going there at an emotional time, because the show was 11 shows before ending, which it's now ended. And it was just really, really fabulous to see the behind the scenes and to meet everybody and how, the lay of the land, how it worked.
It was really awesome.
It was phenomenal. And, a shout out to Kelsey also, who's super lovely, fabulous and amazing. I liked seeing the touristy stuff too, so.
Oh, we had so much fun. We went to this, I don't even remember, what was the name of that hotel that you wanted to see?
The Hotel Cecil. We had the opportunity.
That was haunted, and we were in a little bit shady part of town, and I had my purse on me, and I was a little nervous.
So you couldn't look any more touristy. We're downtown LA, and Nikki has her old-time fashion camera, because she's doing photography for her Mount Allison courses, and you say, okay, we're going to a sketchy neighborhood. Let me get the biggest purse I have,
my passport, all my money, everything. Really smart,
my
really
papers
smart.
to my house, and let's go. And we couldn't look at it, and me with my big stupid hat, we couldn't look any more touristy.
But it was fun.
It was so much fun. It was nice doing our hike. We did the walk, we jammed, we did the Hollywood Boulevard. It was a phenomenal time.
It was a really short 4 days, but we packed a lot into that time.
We got a lot into those 4 days, and it was great to be back, because right before, and we're going to get into this now, right before that, we ran straight out with shows. I think we were at Punchline, show, and even we had a show that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we left on Sunday night, and then we came right back into it. We had a bunch of shows
as soon as we got back.
We had some amazing sold-out shows that were awesome at Punchlines.
It was probably one of the busiest weeks we had.
That was we were nonstop. We were everywhere. We were is it Nawujawak or
Nakawik? We did a show.
Nakawik. We were traveling all around, and then Fredericton. We had some amazing comedians come up there, and then also back here at Punchlines, where you had Deborah down in. But you have some upcoming shows, I think, that you want to talk about while you're here. So you should take the opportunity.
First of all, Nick, our friend Nikki, is doing her first.
Nikki Payne.
Her first live.
Canadian Treasure. Don't forget. You're supposed to say that.
She hates it when I say that. It's in her rider.
Canadian Treasure. Emphasis on Trevor. Yep.
So she's doing her first ever. I don't know if you didn't know that. I didn't know this until she told us. She's never done a live album recording.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so she's doing it for Sirius XM. She's going to post two different specials kind of thing, or albums, whatever you want to call them. One Friday and one Saturday, and they're just going to be awesome. One of them is going to be kind of Christmas-related stories of stuff that happened to her over the holidays. She's not going to be singing Christmas carols, everybody, but that would be funny if she did. But and then they're both being recorded. Audio recorded, but and she's going to send them in, so it's going to be awesome.
Folks that come in have the opportunity to be part of this.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
And her first ever, which I really honestly didn't know that.
I know, that's
because I'm thinking she's been doing comedy for 30 some years. Like, why hasn't she done a recording? She's like, I'm slack.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So that's amazing. So she'll be doing that this Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
Now you have a huge list of upcoming comedians that you and our friend Angela from Imperial Theater, we were talking about.
Yes.
You know, some of the awesome talent that Imperial Theater is working to bring in, some that you're bringing in. Talk to me about some upcoming shows. So let's talk first about Punchlines on Tour. What is that, and what are the upcoming shows?
Punchline's on tour, so we do shows at the Delta in Fredericton. We've partnered up with them, and we do shows there. Well, we'll do a show anywhere, really, anybody that wants to hire comedians for anything. But we've been doing them at the Delta, usually every Thursday, sometimes on weekends, but usually every Thursday of a weekend that we have a comedian coming in. So once a month, generally, right now. We're going to take a little break in the summer, and then we're going to start up again with them in the fall.
Okay, and then talk about a couple of the past shows that were there. Who did you have there before?
Well, we just had Mike Wilmot and Tim Nutt.
Wow.
Which was amazing. It was
Yep.
a double headliner event. They did really great. We sold close to 200 tickets, so it was
Oh my
really
gosh.
nice, yes. And upcoming, we have John Doerr. We have him here in St. John on the Friday night, June 2nd, but we have him
Okay.
in Fredericton at the Delta on June 1st. And
Okay.
John Doerr just won a Juno for his comedy album, A Person Who is Gingerbread. Like, he's on Crave TV, Netflix, Just for Laughs. Like,
Oh, wow.
he's been on Conan multiple times. Like,
Right.
he's just a huge, huge name that we're so happy to be bringing to St. John.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then talk about some other comedians that are coming, some other
Well,
shows.
I'm kind of excited about Brian Patafi.
When's he coming? I
He's
didn't know he was coming yet.
he's coming at the end of July. And if anybody knows hockey, I'm not, can't say that I'm not a hockey fan, but
You drink Tim Hortons. You
I
share
drink,
your
I drink
support in
Tim
your own
Hortons.
way.
Yeah, I drink Tim Hortons. But he was he lived here for 14 years while the St. John Flames were here. So he was one of the trainers of the St. John Flames.
So he wasn't a player. So he
He
did the
was
training.
not a player.
Okay.
He was a goalie years and years and years prior to that, because he's been in hockey for
Okay,
like 44
okay.
years. But back then, Vito's owned the team.
Right.
And it was before Harbor Station and all that, whatever. So it was Calgary Flames. So it was the St. John Flames was a branch off, or maybe the AHL. Maybe I got that correct. I
Right.
don't really know for sure.
Sure.
A farm team of the Calgary Flames. So yeah, he was a part of that for, I think, 12 years here in St. John. So
Oh,
he's
wow.
switched into comedy. He's now retired, and he's got some amazing stories about comedy, about hockey, but he incorporates comedy into it. I think it's going to be a really great show. It's called the Funny as Puck Tour.
Okay.
Like, it's just a
Oh, I get it.
great
I see what
playoff
they
game.
did.
Yeah,
with the
see
word
what they
puck.
did
I
there.
see what they did. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So
yeah.
that's kind of fantastic how he segued into that career. Like,
Oh, for sure. Well, he was already doing books and stuff, and he was already doing public speaking and keynote speaking.
Okay.
Because he was bullied as a child and stuff. So he does a lot of talks about all that stuff as well.
Right.
So yeah, it's just really excited to have him here, especially where he grew up here.
Yeah,
So it's
of
really
course.
good. Yeah. And we have one of my favorite comedians coming in the fall, Dave Merhage.
Okay.
And he just won a Juno as well.
What's
just
he
won a
known
Juno
from?
Wells, and he's on the TV show Rami.
Ooh.
On Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Hulu. But yeah, he again, huge Just for Laughs. He just was in another movie. Like, all these people that we bring are really well-known comedians. They're some of Canada's best, and really, the fact that they're coming to St. John and Fredericton and those places, like, people need to be really aware of that, right?
Sorry, that's just the bingo line waiting.
I know.
They get on
My
our-
apologies.
That's fine.
Can I answer?
That's fine.
Ball
You can
23. No.
So,
B23.
B23.
Ball
Yeah,
23, yeah.
23. So talk to me about who else is coming? What's the fall? So summer show. So we have some folks coming, I think, in August. Derek.
We do. Derek Sagan is coming
Derek,
back. It's
amazing
kind of,
comedian,
we've been kind of
amazing.
having him every August now.
Yep, that's
It's
his
been
thing.
kind of been a thing. Him and
Yes.
Angela come and they
Yes.
vacation here because they love
Yes.
New Brunswick, and
Yes.
they get a little spot on the water and enjoy the week while they're here. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Derek? I mean, he's a comedy award winner. Again, same thing, Just for Laughs, all the things, all the accolades that you could want in a comedian. Derek has them, right? So, and plus he's just a wonderful, wonderful person.
Yep.
So it's very exciting. Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Yep.
We're
And
really
then-
excited. And they're all on our website.
Okay.
Yep.
So for the fall, anything you can talk about in the fall of anyone coming up yet?
We actually are planning our second annual Roaring for Romero House.
Okay.
Yep. So last year we raised $13,000 for Romero House, and so we
Okay.
have the exact same lineup, which we're really excited about. So Mike Bigger is doing his musical performance, and then we have Nikki Payne, James Mullinger, yourself, Mandy-Lynn Donovan, and we also have Nancy Reagan.
The one that's alive.
one
we
that's
have to
alive.
say that every time.
Not the dead
preference,
one,
Yeah.
no.
We have to make sure we let everyone know.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So we'll be doing that again this year, and
Yeah.
we have to raise a lot of money this year.
Yes.
To our friends at Romero
Oh,
House.
people were so generous last year. The amount of food donations that we got.
We filled the Q889 Cruiser. Yeah,
Twice.
That was twice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
twice to take it down
Yeah,
and back
that
and down
was-
and back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a great show, and it was a lot of fun was had that night for such a great cause.
Definitely.
So we're doing that again this
We are.
November. Okay, and tickets will be on sale for that soon, I assume?
They'll be on sale probably by summer.
And then, so now.
And we're having our first New Year's show this year, which I can't say who's coming, but it's going to be
No.
our first New Year's event.
Okay.
So we're going to have a comedy show and then dancing right into the evening till 2. So it's going to be really a lot of fun.
Okay, I'll bite. When's your New Year's bash?
Oh, New Year's Eve, Mandy. New Year's Eve.
And so, so you know you're having, it's going to be like a comedy party? Is there going to be
Yeah, it's going to be a
music? What is it
full
gonna
event. We're having a whole DJ.
Okay.
So we're having a whole dance and, you know, all the fun stuff. You know, we're going to have glow bracelets and all the party favors and stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really excited about it. We've
Is
never
this your
done one
first year
before.
doing- yeah,
yeah,
as
we've
an
never done a
actor?
New Year's before.
And where did you get the idea for this and why? That's awesome.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Everybody, last year, we had a lot of people ask us if we were doing anything for New Year's, and we
Okay.
hadn't done it in the past, so we were kind of like, why not this year? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I asked the team, and I was like, is everybody okay with working New Year's? You know
Sure.
what I mean? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, it'd be a lot of fun, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
We're really excited. And I've actually already had multiple people message me to buy tickets already. I'm like, they're not on sale yet. Calm down, right? But
That's
no, it's
pretty
really
awesome
good.
though,
It's really
right?
good.
That's gotta
Because
feel-
really, there's not a lot of things to do, to be honest. You either
there-
go see a band, some people do house parties, you know, whatever, but
Yeah, yeah. And I also want to cover corporate events. So what do you do for corporate events for folks that are
you
wondering?
can
Or that
book
right
through.
now are watching and they're thinking, I'd like to have a comedian or do something, with
Well,
that.
that's the thing. With corporates, you need entertainment sometimes, and you don't necessarily want a band or have a dance. So in this case, you can hire us for either a keynote, because we do have some comedians on our
Okay.
roster that do keynote speaking with a
Okay.
little bit of comedy mixed in. And then we
Okay.
also have comedians that will do full comedy, very clean comedy, because
Okay.
in those cases,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
you're really having a lot of your business people and workers and stuff. And I mean, our budgets range, but they can message me and get in contact with us for anything like that. We're definitely trying to do more corporates at other people's venues or our venues.
Okay, and how can folks get a hold of you, Julie, if they want to buy tickets, or if they want, or if they're thinking, there's a comedian I like and I want to talk to the owners of Punchlines? How can they?
They
best
can
get a hold of
message
you?
our Facebook page, or
Okay.
they can actually message our website as well, because there's a part in there where you can message that, or they can text or call me at 506-647-8338, yeah.
Okay, and what's your website?
At punchlinescomedyclub.ca.
Okay, perfect.
And all the information would be on there as well.
Everything, so booking information,
that.
upcoming shows,
Yep.
anything like that. So
Yeah, I think we have them on there up till September right now.
right through to September. So
Mm-hmm.
if anybody's watching right now and you want to know about upcoming shows or events at Punchlines, everything's up there. So Punchlines on Tour, is that the same page?
Well, they're all on there as well from the On Tour, yeah, for sure.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Julie, thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you,
the time
Mandy.
to
I
come
really
in.
appreciate
Always
this.
a pleasure. Love you so much.
Love you
Thank
too.
you.
Okay, bye.
Thanks.